Starts out and he says he almost didn't see the old lady stranded on the side of the road. But even in the dim light of day, he could see she needed help. So he pulled up in front of her Mercedes and got out. His Pontiac was still sputtering when he approached her. Even with a smile on his face, she was worried. No one had stopped to help her for the last hour or so. She had prayed and asked Jesus for help, but did Jesus send this person to help her? He didn't look safe. He looked poor and hungry. Brian Anderson could see that she was frightened, standing out there in the cold. He knew how she felt. It was that chill only fear can put in you. He said, "Hi, I'm here to help you, ma'am. Why don't you wait in the car where it's warm? By the way, my name is Brian Anderson." Well, all she had was a flat tire, but for an old lady, that was bad enough. Brian crawled under the car looking for a place to put the jack, skidding his buckles a time or two. Soon, he was able to change the tire, but he had to get dirty, and his hands hurt. As he was tightening up the lug nut, she rolled down the window and began to talk to him. She told him that she was from St. Louis and was only just passing through. She couldn't thank him enough for coming to her aid, as she was also thanking Jesus for sending the right person. Brian just smiled as he closed her trunk. The lady asked how much she owed him. Any amount would have been all right with her. Brian never thought twice about being paid. Jesus, he knew, would take care of him. He had given his life to Jesus, and since that time, he has lived his whole life helping others. And it never occurred to him to act any other way. He told her that if she really wanted to pay him back, the next time she saw someone who needed help, she could give that person the assistance they needed. And Brian added, "And think of me." He waited until she started her car and drove off. It had been a cold and depressing day, but it felt good as he headed for home, disappearing into the twilight. A few miles down the road, the lady saw a small cafe. She went in to grab a bite to eat and take the chill off before she made the last leg of her trip home. It was a dingy-looking restaurant. Outside were two old gas pumps. The whole scene was unfamiliar to her. When the waitress came, oh, she had such a sweet smile, one that even being on her feet the whole day couldn't erase. The lady noticed the waitress was nearly 8 months pregnant, but she never let the strain and eggs change her attitude. The old lady wondered how someone who had so little could be so giving to a stranger. The lady asked the waitress what kept her so happy. The waitress said, since she accepted Jesus, that he has always helped her smile through every situation, and she knows that Jesus has always taken care of her. It was then that the lady knew she would help this waitress out, feeling the leading of Jesus and knowing how Brian Anderson had helped her. After the lady finished her meal, she paid with a $100 bill. The waitress quickly went to get change for a $100 bill, but the old lady had slipped right out the door. She was gone by the time the waitress came back. The waitress wondered where the lady could be. Then she noticed something written on the napkin. There were tears in her eyes when she read what the lady wrote. You don't owe me anything. I've been there too. Somebody once helped me out the way I'm helping you. If you really want to pay me back, here is what you do. Do not let this chain of love end with you. And then, under the napkin, were 4 more $100 bills. Well, there were tables to clear, sugar bowls to fill, and people to serve, but the waitress made it through another day. That night when she got home from work and climbed into bed, she was thinking about the money and what the lady had written. How could the lady have known how much she and her husband needed? With a baby due next month, it was going to be hard. She was thanking Jesus again for helping in the tough times. She knew how worried her husband was, and as he lay sleeping next to her, she gave him a soft kiss and whispered soft and low, "Everything's going to be all right. I love you, Brian Anderson." Isn't that right? What goes around comes around. Jesus said what? When you give, I'm going to give back. Shaken, overfilling. You can't outgive God. Amen. And when you do for others, there's a blessing for you. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. In Luke 6:31, and as ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise. For if ye love them which love you, what thank have ye? For sinners also love those that love them. And if you do good to them which do good to you, what thank have ye? For sinners also do even the same. And if ye lend to them of whom ye have hope to receive, what thank have ye? For sinners also lend to sinners to receive as much again. But love your enemies, and do good, and lend, hoping for nothing again. And your reward shall be great, and ye shall be the children of the highest. For he is kind unto the unthankful, and to the evil. Be ye therefore merciful, as your Father also is merciful. Amen. Amen. Don't you believe what goes around comes around when you are serving Jesus? When you put your trust in him, help others. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you.